Jai Gaura Premanande.
Acharya Ashtotarashta Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Nuramanreti Dham Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, All glories to the assembled devotee, all glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. So, let's see. Hold on. Okay, this is reading from Prabhupada Nectar. Even when Prabhupada was diagnosed as having certain diseases, he never thought of himself, I am a diabetic, or I am a victim of heart attacks. He just continued his transcendental service. This is an instruction for all of us. Prabhupada's glories cannot be imitated, yet we should always put our service first and not identify ourselves as victims of various diseases. When there was too much talk of a particular disease or even its cure, Prabhupada would point out that the real disease is the material body, and the real cure is chanting Hare Krishna. We often think rightly that Prabhupada's diseases were not materially caused, but had transcendental causes. We may note that not only were the causes transcendental, but Prabhupada's response to his so-called diseases was entirely transcendental. He understood that illness came from Krishna, and as far as possible, he went on with his service, always staying on the transcendental platform. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're asking the devotees to pray for the swift deliverance of Chaitanya Narayan Prabhu, who is at the end stage of a long-term terminal illness. So if some of you may know him, he lives in La Crosse, and he's participated in this temple for the last, I think, about 8 years or so. And he is in his final stage of life. So if the devotees can offer prayers on his behalf, Chaitanya Narayan Das. There are bhajans in the temple room tonight at 6:30. They go till about 9:30. There's also going to be bhajans on Monday, which is near Jalakadasi, and that will be the same schedule, 6:30 to 9:30. There's Harinam today in Gainesville. That starts at 5 p.m. out at 13th and University. And then tomorrow, if you're interested in sustainable agriculture, we're having a permaculture workshop out at the field behind the Bhaktivedanta Academy that starts at 9 a.m. I know there'll be many people coming here from outside of our devotee community. I know of at least 10 people from Miami who are driving up for this. They're going to stay overnight in the campgrounds, come here for breakfast tomorrow and get started. And many people are also coming from Jacksonville. These are students of Alex Ojeda, who is overseeing this workshop. So this is no charge for the students, no charge for the devotees, but they are going to put in at least 20 food-producing trees as part of this sustainable agriculture project. And you know, we're encouraging and doing this for a couple of reasons. One is to create a more sustainable future for this New Ramanreti community, to teach devotees how they can also be more self-sufficient on their own land, and to bring more people to the temple, people who are interested in other things. You know, they might not know that they're interested in Kirtan or Bhajan or Japa, but they may be interested in the environment, so they'll come here to learn about that from us also. So I think it's going to be a very successful program, and we hope the devotees will support it and participate in it. And the Goshala, of course, is part of that program, as you know. All right, so these are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master in dressing the deities today. Shri Shri Radha Shamasundar, Jai Gauri Prabhu, Chota Radha Shamasundar, Karaneshwari Prabhu, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Akuti Prabhu, Chota Krishna Balaram, Manjari Sundari Prabhu, Shri Shri Gorditai, Icha Shakti Prabhu, Chota Gorditai, Nitai Priya Prabhu, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev, something on me, Madhuri Gopi Prabhu, and Chaita Guru helped. And Sri Vrindavan Prabhu is giving class today. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Nitai Gora Haribol Nitai
Swayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivadacharya Ashtotarasit, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the beautiful lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Shri Prabhupada Swami Iti Namani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Namam Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashta Prayesho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So this morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 44. So we're starting a new chapter today. I'll be reading the summary, chapter summary, and verse 1. We'll speak on text 1. So this chapter is entitled The Killing of Kamsa. This chapter tells how Krishna and Balaram killed the wrestlers, how Krishna killed Kamsa and consoled Kamsa's wives, and how the two lords were reunited with their mother and father. Deciding to wrestle, Lord Krishna faced off against Chanura, and Lord Baladev took on Mushtika. Battling arm to arm, head to head, knee to knee, and chest to chest, the opponents attacked each other so fiercely that they appeared to be harming even their own bodies. The ladies in the arena, seeing the violent battle, began to condemn the king and all the members of the assembly. A respectable audience should never have allowed a wrestling match between such huge wrestlers whose limbs are as tough as lightning bolts and such tender young boys who are just entering youth. An intelligent person should never enter an assembly if he sees injustice being done there. Actually, further on in the chapter, in verse 9, the ladies actually say that one should not remain even for a moment in a place where irreligion is flourishing. So that was their understanding, that when there is irreligion, we should not stay there at all. And actually, as we go along in this summary, I will comment a little bit. I'll take the latitude of commenting on the future attractions of this chapter, because the verse which I'm going to speak on, which I have today, is got no purport. So I will kind of comment a little bit on this summary. So moving along. Because Vasudeva and Devaki did not fully understand the power of Krishna and Balaram, they became extremely unhappy when they heard the women of the audience speak these words. Shri Krishna then grabbed Chanura's arms, whirled him around several times, and threw him to the ground, killing him. Mushtika met a similar fate after being struck powerfully by Lord Baladev's palm. He began vomiting blood and then fell down dead. Actually, it's described in the Garga Samhita that Chanura was actually, Krishna whirled him and he flew up in the sky, and then he landed head first, and he immediately stood up and he started punching Krishna. And then Krishna threw him to the ground. Thereupon the wrestlers named Kuta, Shala and Toshala came forward, but Krishna and Balaram easily killed them with the blows of their fists and feet. The remaining wrestlers, fearing for their lives, all fled. Actually, when I first found out I was giving class on this verse, on this chapter, I was thinking, who were these wrestlers in their previous births? And I was going to research it, and then Bhakti Vikas Swami told us yesterday about who they were in their previous births, and they all of these wrestlers, all 5 of them, Chanura, Mushtika, Kuta, Shala, and Toshala, were actually all brothers, and we already heard who they were in their previous births. So now, except for Kamsa, everyone present cheered Krishna and Balaram. The king, in a rage, stopped the festive music and ordered that Vasudev, Nanda, Ugrasen, and all the cowherds be severely punished, and that Krishna and Balaram be driven from the assembly. Actually, Vasudev and Ugrasen, Kamsa said that they should be beheaded. Really terrible. And when Krishna heard this, he became furious and instantly leapt onto the lofty royal dais. He grabbed Kamsa by the hair, hurled him down onto the floor of the wrestling ring, and threw himself on top of him. In this way, Kamsa met his death. And another detail in the Garga Samhita is that Krishna, as he jumped onto the dais, Kamsa jumped up into the sky, and Krishna went into the sky, and they both fought for a long time in the sky, and it's described that they look like 2 eagles, because actually in the beginning Kamsa had his sword and his, so he had his weapons, but Krishna, and they were fighting for a while in the sky, and then Krishna threw him down on the ground, and that's where they killed him. That's where he killed him. And it's also described that as the 2 of them fought, the earth cracked. There was so much pressure on the earth that it cracked, and that for an hour the earth shook. That's the exact description, for an hour. So like there was an earthquake going on for a whole hour. It would be quite fearful for all the people who were witnessing this event. In this way, Kamsa met his death. Because out of fear, Kamsa had always thought of Krishna, after his death, he gained the liberation of having a form like the Lord's. So Srila Prabhupada describes in the Krishna book that Kamsa got Sarupya Mukti, which is a form like the Lord. And usually the demons who are killed by Krishna get Sahajwa Mukti, but Kamsa got Sarupya Mukti, and so he went to Vaikuntha Lok after he was killed. Kamsa's 8 brothers then attacked Krishna, but Balaram easily killed each of them with his club, just as a lion kills defenseless animals. Kettledrums resounded in the sky as the joyful demigods rained down flowers and chanted the glories of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. So, the Kamsa's 8 brothers, there's also a history about who they were and in their previous births. And as far as killing, they're killing by Balaram. There's a reason. Does anybody know why all these were killed by Balaram and not by Krishna? What's that, Prabhu? Well, Prabhupada says in the Krishna book that because they were his uncles, they were all brothers of Kamsa, and there is a religious injunction or a Vedic injunction that you should not kill your, killing your relatives is you're actually committing sin. And Prabhupada says that Kamsa was an exception because he was a really powerful, really bad demon, and so Krishna had to kill him. Nobody else could kill Kamsa, so it was inevitable. But the other brothers were not as bad demons as Kamsa, and so Krishna had Balaram killed him, and Prabhupada says probably Balaram killed him with the tusk that he had. Kuvalyapada's tusk, that they had come into the arena with the tusk of Kuvalyapad. Prabhupada says maybe he used that tusk. Now, Garga Samhita tells us, actually Narada Muni is telling in Garga Samhita about these 8 brothers of Kamsa, and it says in the previous birth they were sons of a Yaksha whose name was Devyaksha, and they lived in this in the heavenly planets and in Alakapuri, and the father, Devyaksha, was a very sincere Shiva Bhakta. So he asked his 8 sons to go and collect lotus flowers for the puja of Lord Shiva. And so they went to Manasa Sarovar, and that was early in the morning. He wanted to go then during sunrise. before sunrise. So they went there, and it was described a very beautiful atmosphere. The bees were humming, and they were the flowers are all blooming. So they picked the flowers. I don't know how they brought 1,000 flowers between the 8 of them, but they brought these flowers. But before they brought them to their father, they smelled the flowers because they were so fragrant. They smelled the flowers, and then they gave them for worship. They gave it to their father, and it's not described what happened next, but they were cursed to become demons for 3 births. And I guess they knew better. You should not smell what is going to be offered. And so they became demons for 3 births. So their names comes as 8 brothers. Now in the Garga Samhita is a little bit different description about their killing than what is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. According to Garga Samhita, as soon as they saw their brother, as soon as they saw Kamsa being killed, or he had been killed by Krishna, they rushed towards Krishna and Balaram, and but Balaram, he let out a roar like a lion. It was such a loud roar that they became scared and terrified, and all their weapons fell down. And then they started attacking Balaram with their fists. So Balaram killed Shrishti and Sunama with his club, Nayagrodha with his arms, and Kanka with his left hand. So those were 4 brothers. And then Lord Krishna, according to Garga Samhita, he killed the other 4. 3 of them, Shanku, Saku, and Tushtiman with his left foot, and Rashtrapalaka with his right foot. So just by touching with this foot, the Lord killed these 4 brothers. So that was how. So there are a little bit different descriptions, and we have to see. We have to just, I guess there's different understandings or different descriptions. I'm not sure, but I thought I'll share with you that there are 2 different descriptions about their killing. So the demigods rained down flowers and chanted the glories of Lord Krishna and Balaram. Now the wives of Kamsa, grieving for their husband, lamented that he had died because of his violence towards other living beings and his lack of respect for Krishna, the Supreme Soul who creates, maintains, and destroys the entire universe. Now we see the wives, they know who Krishna is. And Srila Prabhupada also tells in the Krishna book that because of association of Krishna in the arena, that they got purified also. And they also say, there's another additional comment which is described in the Garga Samhita, that once they started crying that, we have lost our husband and he was our protector, then they started telling him, they were speaking to the dead body of their husbands, you mercilessly killed your sister's sons when they were 10 days old. Some were not even 10 days. And the moment they were born, you killed them. That horrible sin has brought you to this. So you can understand that the wives, that Kamsa's wives were actually very sad, and they were really upset that he was killing one by one the children of his sister, but they couldn't say anything. I guess because he wouldn't want to hear any good advice. He didn't want to hear any good advice even from all of his advisors who were surrounding him, and he had surrounded himself with very bad advisors. So as we go along, more will be revealed what the wives were saying. So the Lord consoled the widows, had the funeral rites performed for Kamsa and his brothers, and then released his mother and father from bondage. Krishna offered obeisances at his parents' feet, but they, now understanding him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not embrace him. So they were in awe and reverence of Krishna and Balaram. So now we'll go to the first verse. Shri Shuka Vacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Charchita, fixing, Sankalpaha, his determination, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Madhusudanaha, Krishna, Asa sada, confronted. Atha, then. Chanuram, chanura. Mushtikam, mushtika. Rohini Sutta, the son of Rohini, Lord Balaram. Sri Shuka Uvacha, Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Asasadata Chanuram, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta, Shri Shuka Vacha, Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Asasadata Chanuram, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Please chant. Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Shri Shuka Vacha, Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Shri Shuka Vacha, Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Sasadata Chanuram, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Mothers? Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Asasadata Chanuram, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Shri Shuka Vacha, Evam Charchita Sankalpo, Bhagavan Madhusudana, Asasadata Chanuram, Mushtikam Rohini Sutta. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus addressed, Lord Krishna made up his mind to accept the challenge. He paired off with Chanura and Lord Balaram with Mushtika. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Manchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayevach Patitanam Pavanebhyo Shri Shri Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, thus addressed, Lord Krishna made up his mind to accept the challenge. He paired off with Chanura and Lord Balaram with Mushtika. So this was Chanura and Mushtika, or Chanura challenged Lord Krishna. Anybody remember what the challenge was in yesterday's class? What did Chanura challenge Krishna to do? Wrestle with him. Yes. He said, actually Krishna said, I don't want to wrestle because I am a young boy and you are such big wrestlers. So Chanura says, this is verse 39 in chapter 43, you're not really a child or even a young man, and neither is Balaram, the strongest of the strong. After all, you playfully killed an elephant who had the strength of 1,000 other elephants. Therefore, you too should fight powerful wrestlers. There is certainly nothing unfair about that. You, O descendant of Vrishni, can show your prowess against me, and Balaram can fight with Mushtika. So they had killed the elephant right before they entered, and Chanura and Mushtika had already heard about it, and surprise, surprise, they were not even scared of it. They thought they were more stronger than the elephants. And actually I was wondering, did anyone talk about in the previous chapter the history of Kovalyapid, who he was in his previous birth? Because I didn't attend all the classes, so I'm not sure. No? So maybe I can just share that because it's pretty interesting. This is also in the Garga Samhita, treasure trove of all these different pastimes. What each of the, actually, the questions keep on coming and Narada Muni keeps on answering. He says, so who was Kubja and who were the sons of Kamsa, brothers of Kamsa, and then who was Kovalyapid in his previous birth? So Kovalyapid was actually in his previous birth one of the sons of Bali Maharaj. And he was a giant whose name was Mandagati. You know, Manda, those of you who know Hindi, Manda means somebody who is slow. Gati is intelligence, so somebody who is very little intelligence, Mandagati. But he was very strong. His strength was as much as 100,000 elephants. So once Mandagati went to Rangashetra for pilgrimage, like Sri Rangam, and he was just pushing his way through the crowd. A lot of people were there, and he's pushing his way. And as he's such a big and powerful person, so as he's going through the crowd, he's pressing against people, and with both of his arms, and some of them were falling down, and he was just walking. One of the persons who fell down was a sage, a Muni, and his name was Trita Muni. Now Trita Muni was very powerful sage, and he was not happy to be pushed down by this person who was walking like a wild elephant. So he cursed him and to become an elephant, because he was like a wild, mad elephant. And Mandagati at least had that much understanding that the sage's curse will actually come to pass. And just like we know from the pastime of Manigriva and Nalakuvara, so he started pacifying the sage, and he started praising him and glorifying him. So the sage was kind of pacified, and he said, okay, you will become an elephant, but you will attain liberation in Mathura. So this elephant became, this Mandagati became an elephant in the Vindhya mountains, which are actually much south of Mathura, Vrindavan area, closer to Rangam, Sri Rangam. So he became an elephant. Yes, Prabhu? Yes, they are in the Madhya Pradesh, in the middle part of the country. So he became an elephant, and he was as strong as 10,000 other elephants. That's how much his strength was. So King Jarasandha, who was also quite a powerful king, he must have encountered this elephant, who knows how, but he wanted this elephant for in his own kingdom. So he actually captured this elephant with the aid of 100,000 other elephants. He captured him and brought him to his kingdom. And when his daughters got married to Kamsa, he gave this elephant Kovalyapid as a gift, as a wedding present to Kamsa. So that's how Kovalyapid came to be in Mathura, because he was a wedding present from Kamsa's father-in-law. So that was the story of Kovalyapid. So now Krishna actually had said to Chanura that we are just young boys and we should play with those of equal strength. The wrestling match must go on properly so that irreligion does not taint the respectable members of the audience. And if you remember, the ladies in the arena were also criticizing this match, which was they were unevenly matched, and they were saying that sin will come upon us if we stay here even for a moment. So Kamsa, of course, he didn't care for religion or irreligion. So I thought I will just read a little something about irreligion and how the Srimad Bhagavatam actually discusses this religious principles and irreligion. So in Canto 7, Chapter 15, which is actually entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, there is this verse which talks about the 5 branches of irreligion. And we'll see that Chanura is actually practicing one of those branches, so that's why I thought it was relevant. And I will read this verse, 7:15, verse 12. Vidharma paradharmascha abhasa upama chala adharma shakha panchema dharmagno dharmavat tyajet. Vidharma. So there are 5 branches of irreligion, and the first one is called irreligion, which is vidharma. Second is paradharma, religious principles for which one is unfit. Pretentious religion, that is abhas. An illogical religion, upadharma. And cheating religion, chaladharma. And the verse says that one who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. So the next 2 verses, 13 and 14, elaborate a little bit on this, these 5 irreligion. Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others, which means anybody else other than the Lord himself, are called paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called upadharma. A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhas, like we know from like namabhas. So this religious system which is manufactured by somebody who neglects the duties of his order, that is abhas, a dim reflection, and interpretation by one's jugglery of words, that is chaladharma. So I was thinking that in the case of Chanura, he is juggling words around. He's like, Krishna says, okay, this is irreligion, I should not fight you. But he is trying to justify it, he's trying to interpret it, and he is saying, okay, it's okay, you can fight with this because you're so powerful. You kill this one and you kill that one. So, chaladharma. Chanura was actually interpreting Krishna's words. And it says that in purports to these verses, Srila Prabhupada points out that anyone who's opposed to the religious system of progressing in Krishna consciousness, they are going to be identified as following irreligion. And when we say we do something or we want to interpret something other than what Krishna, or interpret a meaning from what Krishna is saying, Prabhupada of course calls them rascals, and he says that they are actually observing chaladharma, religious system of cheating, or shabdabhit, a jugglery of words. Prabhupada also says that it is very fashionable to create a new kind of dharma. Everybody wants something fashionable for the age, and also like the Mayavadi philosophy, yato mat tato pat. Whichever way you are, whichever way you're following, that's the one. You will go there. You will go, ultimately you'll go to your destination. So whichever way you want to follow, you follow that. But we know that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja. So surrender unto me, that is the real religious system. And of course, in the Ajamil pastime, Yamaraj tells the very famous verse, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, that the real religion is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot manufacture a religion, just like law. Law is given by the government of a country. Actually, this past school year, I was teaching civics to 7th graders, and it's a very elaborate process to actually make any idea which somebody has to convert it into a law for the country, for this country. It's a whole process. Sometimes it can take a whole year. how a bill becomes a law. It's a very complicated process, and that once it becomes law, all the citizens have to follow it. So that's a very mundane example, but real religion is that which is given by the Supreme Lord, and the real religious system is actually one which leads one to become a devotee. So, given by the Lord, and one which leads one to become a devotee of the Lord. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaji. So that's the real religious system, that we actually want to be led to become Krishna conscious. And that is actual religious principle. So the question can be asked that how does one engage in upholding these religious principles, which Krishna has talked about so much in the Bhagavad Gita. So in the 11th canto, the Lord answers it in his discussions with, when he's doing Uddhava, he's giving instructions to Uddhava. So this is Canto 11, chapter 13, verse 2. Krishna says, Sattva dharmo bhaved vridhat pumso mad bhakti lakshana. Sattva. You all are familiar with this word. Sattva is goodness. So Krishna says, become situated in the mode of goodness that automatically gives rise to religious principles. So, and then religious principles, as they are strengthened by the mode of goodness, ignorance and passion is destroyed, and irreligion is quickly vanquished. So, and Madhvacharya actually points out that when there is increase in the mode of goodness, religious principles get strengthened. And vice versa, when we are executing religious principles, mode of goodness gets strengthened. So it's in a way, it's a self-feeding proposition. We are in the mode of goodness, we will execute religious principles. So, as described in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the modes of material nature, that by choosing foods which are in the mode of goodness, by doing our work which is in the mode of goodness, recreation also in the mode of goodness, so our whole life is in the mode of goodness, then we will be executing religious principles. However, we know as aspiring devotees of Lord Krishna that Sattva Gun alone is not enough. We want to progress to Vishuddha Sattva, or pure goodness. And in this verse which I was just quoting, Sattva dharmo bhaved vridhat. Vridhat is actually, the root word is vridhi, which means increasing. So as we increase, or as it strengthens, the mode of goodness is strengthened by following religious principles, we come to Vishuddha Sattva. And vridha also means old, like somebody who's old. And it indicates your growth is happening. So until we reach the full maturity of our religious pursuits, which is actually coming to the lotus feet of the Lord and understanding our eternal relationship with the Lord, that is what we have to aspire for. Sattva keeps on increasing and gives us the strength to come to Shuddha Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva. And that's the actual meaning of Dharma. That's the actual religious principle. And Srila Prabhupada so mercifully gave us that so freely, and he just, from the get-go, gave us that desire, that aspiration to go to pure devotional service. And our whole life as a aspiring Krishna devotee is focused on doing the do's, not doing the don'ts, and getting closer and closer to that goal of becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. So I have a couple other things which I was wanting to say about this religion and irreligion. This is a funny, it's a joke which once when Krishna was on the planet, and Narada Muni, used to come around, so he's telling Krishna jokingly, this is from the Nectar of Devotion. He says, "My dear Lord of the cowherd boys, your bulls," which we know are representation of religion, "your bulls, while eating grass from the pasturing ground and moving on their four legs, have certainly eaten up all the grass of irreligion." So it's described that that when Krishna was present, the religious principles were so well cared for that there was hardly any irreligious activities. And we see that Kamsa was destroyed, all his cohorts were also destroyed, so that there would be religion, would be actually established. And it's also described that when Krishna was in Dwarka and he was doing so many rituals and sacrifices, the demigods were always coming because there were so many sacrifices which were going on. Like in the Dwapar Yuga, there's a lot of fire sacrifices all going on. So the wives of the demigods, this is just an aside, the wives of the demigods would be very perturbed because their husbands were always going to earth, taking part in all these sacrifices. So they actually started praying. Even though Krishna was on the planet, they started praying that Lord Buddha might come soon. Because Lord Buddha stopped all of the ritualistic ceremonies, and so the demigods, he did that so that there would be no animal killing, but the demigods' wives were praying that Lord Buddha comes, there'll be no sacrifices, our husbands won't go away and we won't feel separation from them. So sometimes it's inquired, Srila Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, that why don't the demigods come down anymore? Because very often in all of Krishna's pastimes, even when Kamsa was killed, the flowers were raining down, the demigods came and they were giving flowers and all kinds of blessings. So Prabhupada says the plain answer is that since Lord Buddha came and sacrifices are not happening, so demigods do not care to come to the earthly planet anymore. There's another story which I found about, many of you might know about Vallabha Bhatta, and he was criticizing the devotees. Does anybody know about this pastime? Vallabha Bhatta was telling Advaitacharya, he said, how is it that you all, a chaste wife who's devoted to her husband doesn't ever say the name of her husband, but you all chant the name of Krishna. It's very unchaste. How can you be calling it a religious principle? So Advaitacharya said, hey, here is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the personification of religious principle. You ask him this question. So when he asked, Vallabha Bhatta asked Advaitacharya, because Vallabha Bhatta is always trying to, he's trying to get his viewpoint. He's trying to tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I wrote my Bhagavatam, I've written, and I think my Bhagavatam is more superior, and my commentary on Bhagavatam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not really entertaining him. So he was always trying to put in his few words. So he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, my dear Vallabha Bhatta, you do not know the religious principles. Actually, the first duty of a chaste woman is to carry out the order of her husband. And Krishna says, chant my name incessantly. So if the husband is giving this order, then if you are chaste, we have to adhere to that principle, and we chant the Lord's name. So following that religious principle, that's what Srila Prabhupada gave us, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's our chastity, because we are following Krishna's orders. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, appreciate it. Sri Vikram Prabhu.
Touch a few little points. I don't remember if you read it or if you were just reciting the story, but you said something about Alachua, and that's like the abode of Lord Shiva. Is it or wrong where Lord Shiva stays? And then also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's some other places where it says Alakananda.
Alakananda, yeah.
And Alachua and, a few things. And it's all revolve around Lord Shiva and Kuvera. But, so it's interesting, the word Alakananda, Alachua, and it revolves around Shiva. So I was but I've never heard this, but I was wondering if one of Lord Shiva's name was Allah. You see?
If one of Lord Shiva's names is Allah? Oh, Allah?
Yeah, because Alachua, Alakananda, and there was a few more words of similar thing. But I don't know, because you're coming from that, I don't know if you caught. I think there's 1,000.
Yeah, it was in the past time where the 8 brothers of Kamsa.
Yeah.
So they were in the previous birth, they lived in
Right.
Alachua, and their father was a Shiva Bhakta.
Yeah.
So since they went to Manas Sarovar, I know that it's in the heavenly planets. So I'm not sure if it's in the same planet where they went to pick the flowers. But Alaka is actually spelled Alaka, and Allah is Allah. So
That's,
I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
we can speculate.
The other point you said about Buddha's, by stopping the sacrifices, then the demigods will not come. You mentioned something like this?
Yes,
I missed the...
No, they were saying, this is in the Nectar of Devotion, it's chapter 21, that the wives of the demigods were praying for Lord Buddha to appear, because they knew that when Lord Buddha appears, Lord Buddha will stop all these sacrifices, these ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Then our husbands won't have to go for those sacrifices because no sacrifices are happening.
So it's not only animal sacrifice.
At that time, once Lord Buddha appeared, by that time there were so many animal killings, and that's why he stopped all the sacrifices. But just ceremony, because when in Lord Krishna's time, it was not animal killing, it was, yagyas and homas were going on, and the demigods would always come to participate in those yagyas. That's what I understand. Anyone else? No? All right. Thank you very much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.